Okay, this is now my favorite part because this is where we get to debate and discuss. It's our first panel discussion that we're about to get into, and I think to open it up, we've got the boom of digital technology, and it's swept the entire world over the past 20 years. Now, to help me have this discussion, please help me welcome to the stage our panelists, Ms. Samkeliwe Qomo, media entrepreneur, philanthropist, and speaker, Ms. Yana Leonard, founder of JLPR and the Baskiti Co., as well as Ms. Margot Napi, the founder of Afari Skincare. Please help me welcome them to the stage. So I guess I want to throw this one out to you guys, whoever, wants to take that one first. But, how has it played in your branding efforts, in your digital campaigns? If you have a story that you can share with us.
Yeah, I'll just jump in quickly. I started a company called Rubybox. I don't know if anyone ever subscribed to Rubybox, the beauty box subscription. Yay! And being digital first, having come from a magazine background, the thing I loved about, e-commerce and I suppose digital is, like we said, the trackability. So we were offered, I remember, an ad in Grazia magazine at the time for free. And I was like, fabulous. And my business partner was like, yes, fabulous, but how are we going to measure it? And I think we then put a voucher code in to say, okay, 20% off your first Rubybox if you sign off, use code Rubybox20, and there we saw then we could measure and see how that that exposure to however many readers it was resulted in maybe 40 sales that people used that voucher code. So that was a very cool way of being able to track print in a digital space.
I think for me, I'm always like, what if my phone dies? What if my tablet dies? What does that mean? Of course I've prepared, but I can't have this heavy reliance on digital. There's always that emotional connection you have with something when it's tangible. You kind of feel a sense of security. And this is whether you're speaking on a platform or you are going to investors for funding, whatever the case may be. It's like, we now have a heavy reliance, but what if the technology fails you? And it does, and it has in so many instances. And I think we always go back to the print as our safety net, because that's exactly what it is. And so even if there are QR codes or whatever the case may be, it's not always going to be, it's going to be printed. As much as it's a digital plug-in, if that's the right word, I don't know. You still take a picture of it, or you still have to take a photo of it, and then something happens. So it still needs to be printed, whether it's a new menu, whatever the case may be, it still has to be printed. So the print, it actually starts with print, and then it's ever evolving into digital. Another thing is with the trackability. What if the internet shuts down, like Instagram, your Facebooks, these things have had a complete halt and stop, and does that mean your brand is completely dead? So there are many ways that print has actually saved the name or a brand or something because it was just there. So I just find that print is that safety net in case technology fails us, as it does.
And I think beyond it being the safety net, what I'm getting, honestly speaking, is that the question that we have is more so around the marketing. And so that does not eliminate the product that is being marketed. In fact, it increases the demand. And we've seen this from COVID coming to right now. There's such a higher, we're much more of consumers, I mean, you're ordering your food to your door. What is that being delivered in? You've got your beauty online subscription. You've got all of that. It has to be packaged. It has to be, so it's more so that we need to find innovative ways of carrying that product. But in all honesty, what I'm hearing more so is that it's this digital world is a support and is helping and assisting the world of print in its innovation, because actually what I'm hearing is that it's growing at an exponential rate, honestly speaking. I'm curious to know about, I guess, the creative integration in that as well. Have you seen any, in the campaigns that you've worked on, maybe that you've done for your own brands, an interesting way of that integration creatively with, the print as well as the digital and social media?
A recent campaign we did for one of our clients, Carmentia, is where obviously got the PR featured in a Home Essentials page, and then negotiated an additional physical product in the cover. So it's basically packaged on the front cover, covered with a sleeve. And then we printed a QR code or like a voucher code on there to take them back to the e-commerce site to grab their full price pack or full product. So that was a really nice way to use print, the PR print side of it, get the physical product in the hands of the customer, and then get them to buy the full price product as well. And it wouldn't been able to do that just by doing an influencer campaign or just an online digital campaign.
I think that's a beautiful example, because something that I guess, jumping off of what I just said, it really is more so, it strengthens the consumer experience, honestly speaking. Integrating printed QR codes, you're making the experience for myself as a consumer so much easier, because I don't have to now go around and look for where do I need to get the website, where am I getting my voucher. Everything is so simple and easy for me, So there is the ergonomics that actually is being thought out, and using print as the vehicle for that to make my experience as a consumer much more pleasant, and to get me to, I guess, buy quickly, much faster than I would have before, because I don't have to ponder on it for too long. I'm curious to know, how can print add value to a primarily digital strategy? Have you had any of those in for your business?
Yeah, two things that I wanted to say, just on the how print can help with retail. I was in Austria pitching, Safari internationally, and I was in the coolest store called Cosmetery, where if you scanned the barcode on these huge screens, it took you to the product page online and told you all about, the product information, as well as videos, how to use, and I just thought that it was such an awesome customer experience. And in my space, I wouldn't exist without my packaging. I've obviously got a bottle, and then we've got the carton outside. And recently, I've actually had quite a lot of retail sort of real estate essentially on the cartons where I wasn't maximizing the usage, and now I've put benefits and a breakdown of the key ingredients inside. So as a consumer, if you pick up the carton, you're seeing a lot more and you're learning a lot more about it. Also, last week I was actually in Las Vegas with the DTI representing South Africa at Cosmoprof, which is the biggest beauty show in North America, and attached to that is Cosmo Pack, which is the hugest supply chain, and everyone was showcasing packaging, printing, labels. It was quite incredible to see. Yeah, this industry is definitely not on its way out.
No. Yeah, I think I'd like to add to that also. I think with PR, there's activations and events such as this. I mean, what we have, this backdrop here, this wall banner printed, the pull-ups printed. Imagine if all of that was digital, you'd be dizzy. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so many lights, everything is flashing, and you don't realize that this has just amplified the space that we're in, that just has grey concrete walls, but because of what has been printed here and the brands that are represented, we are actually having, mental imprints of them because of the printing. So that has been key in public relations, again, in my business and with the foundation. Another thing is, imagine getting a goodie bag only as digital vouchers. That's boring. I mean, it takes away from that exciting. You want to leave like falling over with all these gifts and skincare and, and then all you have is like, what, a spreadsheet of digital vouchers. That's
takes away
also
the magic.
where your senses as a human being, you want the touch. You want to say, I went to this kind of event. This is what I got. This is what I received. It also speaks to like the longevity and the talkability, again, of what you have just experienced for an event and activation. We've tried the digital voucher things during COVID. It was not as successful as what it would be to get a nice goodie bag and say, hey, I was here. And unboxing on Instagram,
Oh, we love the unboxings. We absolutely love them.
That's what the brands love as well.
Exactly. Sam, I think I want to go back to what you mentioned, being told on your graduation day that you're entering into a dying industry. I think I'm ready to now talk about the future prospects of this industry, because obviously you had to think very quickly. What does my future look like? As may as it may have been as much as it may have been a daunting statement to hear at the beginning of your journey, I think already it makes you think of innovation. Do you think that there can be a resurgence if needs be, or I guess a niche market among young entrepreneurs in this world through print?
I mean, absolutely. As mentioned, I left for a digital world, but throughout my career and my career jumping and hopping until I finally landed, I have arrived. Is that what
I have, okay, one more time, ladies and gentlemen, to the person on your left. I have what?
Exactly. I think, okay, yeah, we've arrived. I think the world of print is just like the world of technology is going to constantly evolve. I think we're always going to talk about an integrated campaign because we are human. I speak back to the senses in what we love to see, to touch, and sometimes digital does not give you that. Sure, there's these AR and you know these things, you know.
AI.
Yeah, there we go. And AI and the visual, this, that, and the other. Sure, you can go into the future, but still, if you can experience China or Austria and all these places she's mentioned physically, it gives you a much better experience for yourself than through technology. So I just think that printing will always have to constantly evolve and not necessarily catch up to the technology world, but really work together. And that has been the case for me in the past 12 to 15 years.
I want to actually, speaking of that, you mentioned the AIs, there's the augmented realities, which really, I think, in terms of the augmented reality, that's where I feel personally one of the biggest opportunities are for print and integrating with the digital space. I want to share, I recently saw an advert for a new website called friend.com. Now, the founder of this company, first of all, invested millions of dollars into buying the domain for a website called friend.com. And the advert is essentially seeing people in different, aspects of their lives. And this person goes to a coffee shop and they tap this little thing. It's like a necklace. Tap it and they're like, "Oh, I'm loving the coffee." And they get a text message on their phone from a friend, a Jason or whoever. "Oh, yeah, we should maybe, come back next week." A girl is sitting, in her favorite spot looking over a canyon. And she's like, "Oh, I wish I could bring someone with me." And she gets a text message and it comes up and it's, "Oh, but you're here with me." And so the product that they're advertising, this friend, is this AI tool that listens in on everything that you're saying and is essentially your friend.
Crazy. That's wild.
Right? Isn't that scary?
Yeah.
But it's exciting too. I've got looks of terror to the side over here. But I think for me, it looked like such an innovative idea because, you spoke about the touch and feel, and as human beings, we really do need all of those things. And that's a perfect example of how the digital and something physical, that was a physical product that you're carrying around with you all the time. And you're going to need accessories for it if everybody's moving around with it. I showed you my cover, There's so much more, and with the world and products like this coming out, I'm curious to know, it just showed, I guess, the innovation for me. As an entrepreneur, do you have any, I guess, advice or, seeing and having been to the conferences that you've been, do you have any advice or sort of things that you started to see and trends that you've started to pick up in terms of developing products like this that you are like, "Listen, I've seen this before and I've applied this in my business. I see that, it's looking something like this."
Do you know, it's funny, obviously at a conference, you get so many business cards, so many people come and talk to you, but one, I must have been away from my desk, and I was left this AI tool for formulations. So now, within the beauty industry, you can either do a custom formulation like I have done, or there are existing formulations, shelf formulations, which, like celebrities, if you see Rihanna, has a product out, or she's thinking of it, and then the next sort of month she has a product out, that's often a shelf formulation. So it's an existing formula, and then obviously Rihanna brings all of her clout and her everything to it. But this AI tool for me was quite a game changer, that you can actually then, using this tool, develop your own custom formulation. And that's what, one of the things that they were saying. So I think that's going to be huge in my industry.
Yeah.
But again, it was a printed A5 card, left there for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known about it.
We often work with affiliate programs, which is quite an international trend coming to South Africa at the moment, but it's again something that's trackable from a digital space. But again, it is a fact that you have an influencer, which is digital, or if you have a print magazine that's printing a code or specific link, and that links back to our affiliate plugin on e-commerce stores. And that way, you generate sales, you obviously pay your affiliate, but it's a way to generate sales in a way that hasn't been done before in South Africa.
So, Sam, it's a lot, actually.
It's a lot.
There's a lot, and I'm just trying to, it seems that it's becoming more saturated, and there's a lot more competition, and honestly speaking, it's about who has the coolest bells and whistles. Because if you're standing in a store and you're choosing which products am I going to get, and perhaps the quality, they're identically the same, until you've done all of that check. At the end of the day, it's about which one is going to jump out at me more. How does an entrepreneur with a world like this, where people are really just trying to get attention and it's about who is the shiniest now, or who's the coolest and who's the most popular, as an entrepreneur, how do I then sort of, use and incorporate this innovation to set myself apart, and so that I'm able to stand out in that way, that I get to be the one that's picked and taken off the shelf?
Yeah. I think the world will always be a noisy place, right? And I think, firstly, what's important is understanding and knowing your audience.
Yeah.
There will always be the one thing that we'll go back to. Who is my user persona? Who am I trying to speak to through this campaign, and whatever the case may be? Who is my customer? And that is the person that I'm going to speak to. Of course, there are competitors, et cetera, but then I think in that case, then you beat them with price. I think a consumer will always look for the best or best enough that still suits their pocket in terms of what they are trying to buy, or whatever the case may be. Also, something else that will have you stand apart is loyalty and relationship. I think in any brand that exercise with funders, investors, whatever the case may be, you want to have someone who will always speak for you, who will sponsor you, who will be your spokesperson when you're not around. And I think relationship building also is very, very key in being the one that is always spoken for or chosen. And I think those are the main things that I would go for. Knowing your audience, having the right people speak for you, and price.
Yeah.
And price. Ooh. I'd love to open up the conversation to the floor, because I think we do have a few ladies in the room that may have something to say, maybe a question to ask as well. So we're going to have a roving mic going around. Please just put your hand up so that we can get the mic to you. Because I think it would be great to take the time to actually incorporate you guys into the conversation. But while we do that, let's just think about challenges and solutions in this industry. What are the main challenges you see in integrating print with digital for your generation?
I don't know if it's about integrating with print, but for me, it was actually the beauty industry is, hugely responsible for the amount of waste that there is in the world. I mean, fashion's worse, but we get a really bad rap in beauty.
No one's comparing.
So I think for me, when I first launched Afari, I had foiling and matte laminates on the packaging and on the cartons, and it looked so beautiful and it shoots so beautifully. But actually, I was like, no, I need to be a responsible CEO too. So our latest iteration has actually lost the matte laminate and it's lost the foiling. So our packaging is now fully recyclable, and I sleep better at night knowing that.
But often I think it's also adapting your packaging to what your customer or who your customer is. I think that, like Sam was saying, is that knowing your audience is your first step in actually knowing what to do. And often that means removing all the bells and whistles and just saying, this is a great product, I know you're going to love it. And not having all that shine and lights and fireworks and everything. It's so distracting. And if you have a really good offering and a really good product, you're going to have a customer. And they are going to pay for it because that's who you're targeting.
Okay, so in that sense, then what are the steps that we can take in the printing industry to appeal more to young digital entrepreneurs who sort of, I guess, are developing these products that don't need the bells and whistles, but I guess need a solution that is very much, tailored to them and their customers' experience? What are the steps that the printing industry can take?
I mean, for me, one of the printers that I work with are FSC certified, so that they're using sustainable paper. I mean, for my cartons, that's important for me. But I'm sure there are many other organizations that you can belong to. I don't know if it's sustainable ink or recyclable. I'm not familiar with all of it, but that would definitely help me with making my decisions. Thanks, Bianca. That's such a great question. I ship mine in a cardboard outer carton to protect the products, but then yes, it has to go into a plastic courier bag.
Yeah.
However, I know that there are mealie bags, or maybe you have an offering and a solution for me.
Yeah, please.
I think, Bianca, please do share the solution with us. What I'll do is I'll actually come to you so you can use my mic. Oh, perfect.
I think at the end of the day, it is converting it to paper.
Yeah.
I've got to be honest with you. We've got a few clients that's gone that route, and it works. You've got so much more sustainable products out there. You've got wet stains papers. You've got a lot of added value that you can use, that we can offer. A nice printed product with your QR code, everything on it, and it still goes through the process, and it goes back through the EPR system, Department Forestry, everything, and it's all sustainable. I think that is the end game, and I'm going to give you my card.
Yeah,
Please do. I'm curious to know, do we have any other solutions in the room that, if you, I guess, shameless plug, shameless promotion that you'd like to share? But I think this is something that we need to be talking about solutions, because we do have the questions. I mean, we ask these questions in our everyday lives. They come up on our social media screens, but what is the solution? What is the alternative? And I think we have a room of people here, right here behind me, to my right, that have the solutions.
Hiya, I'm Leanne, I'm from Canon. So with the advent of digital printing, there's no longer the need to print thousands and thousands and thousands of the same packaging or the same product. You can print smaller volume, less warehousing, less wastage, more sustainability.
Thank you.
And Leanne, that is why one of the reasons that the beauty industry has exploded in South Africa is because of digital printing. So the MOQs are so much lower, so well done.
Well done.
Okay, well, I mean, that makes me feel really good. I think we've already tackled the question of, is printing relevant? It is. It's more so about how do we innovate and think of cooler ways, more fun ways, and of course, more sustainable ways to package our products and just make it an interesting experience for our consumers.